Hey everyone, and welcome to the ATP Project. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm with your other host, Steve.
Thank you. I thought you forgot my name for a sec.
I know.
There's only
I looked
one
at
other
you and
person.
went, hang on, who is this strange person in the room?
Strange guy. I'm looking at you going, this is awkward. This milliseconds awkward.
I know. It's really awkward when you go on your first date with someone, you go, what was their name again?
Yeah, I've done that 1,000 times. Even now I'm married and everything. It's always, yeah, anyway.
You don't forget Beck's name. Please tell me you don't forget.
Oh, yeah, her, yeah. No, I don't. No, I wouldn't forget her name. And I wouldn't forget her birthday either, because it's the same day as mine. Does everyone know?
Is it? I didn't know that.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
26th of February.
Really?
I'm a 69er.
Yeah.
I was born in 1969.
Yes.
And she was born in 1979.
Really? Well, there you go.
Can I tell you something freaky else?
Yeah, tell me.
Her father, her biological father, 26th of Feb as well.
Really?
Yep. And
Wow.
one another freaky thing?
Yeah.
Our nephew, he's 5.5 now. February 26, 19, oh, no, not 19, 5 years old, whatever that is.
Yeah, 2000 and something.
18 or something.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow. Mine's the same day as my stepdad's.
What's your date? I don't even know.
14th of November.
I don't know. Does that make you Aquarius?
Oh, I'm a Scorpio.
Oh,
Watch
dear.
out, Steve. I'm a Scorpio.
Scorpion.
I'm a nice
fish.
Scorpio.
I'm a fish and rooster.
You are a fish, yeah. That's why you just go with the flow.
I go with the flow.
Yeah.
That's all right. I'm pretty chilled out. But not today, because today we're talking about a podcast that actually affects me, or affected me dramatically in my 20s.
Yeah, well, we're talking about my favourite subject,
Yep.
the microbiome, gut microbiome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the gut microbiome causes bowel disease. Is that it?
Oh, well, it does a lot more than that.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
So today I thought we would talk about conditions and disease states that are that can be gut derived,
Yeah.
or can have the gut can be involved in their progression. So things that maybe you might not automatically think of the gut as being a driver or a contributing factor to some of these conditions.
Yeah, I think gut microbiome, you think of irritable bowel syndrome, you might think of Crohn's disease, you might think of ulcerative colitis.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about bowel conditions, are we? We're talking about freaky, weird stuff that goes on outside the bowels that are related to the bowels.
Yeah.
Now, last week we talked about the brain and the bowels.
Yes.
Now we're going to talk about other parts of the body and the bowels. Isn't it remarkable?
It is, yeah.
It's remarkable because of when I was 20, I'll tell you the story. It's in, I've said this before.
Yeah.
But I woke up one day on a Sunday morning, I remember it, and my back was aching. And it's like, lower back pain, whatever. I was 20 years old. I'd been surfing the day before. Thought, no, you haven't been dumped on a wave. And it was pretty bad pain, though. And I'm sort of lumping around the house being a thingo. And on Monday, it was worse. And I literally, for the first time in probably my life, had to call in sick for work. At that stage, I was as a chemist. I was working as a chemist. And so but I called in sick. And I went to the doctors. You have to get a doctor's certificate in those days.
Yeah.
So I went to the doctor, and he gave me some Feldene, which is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, and gave me acupuncture because he was a sort of integrated doctor. Now, at that time, I knew nothing about naturopathy, and I thought, I've got a week off. He gave me a medical certificate every week. I'm thinking, woohoo, party time. So tomorrow I'll be out partying. I got worse.
Yeah.
I got worse. My knee swelled up, one of my knees, and one of my feet swelled up. Different parts of my body just swelled up. My foot looked like it was red. It was so sore. And anyway, the doctor came out. He came out to see me, and I was feeling real bad from this sore back, and it just spread to so he admitted me to the hospital, local Sandringham Hospital in Melbourne. Went there, they took a bunch of x-rays, and I was feeling really awful, and the x-ray showed nothing, and so it's like, oh well. So the following Tuesday I was released because it's like, nothing wrong with you. They said, just have a shower, and I was like, I felt awful, awful. And so anyway, I was released. I was actually released on Monday when the specialist saw me. They said, just have a shower and we'll let you go. I passed out in the shower due to the pain.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, that was fun getting all the nurses in when I was... Because I had to press there's a red button in there. You press, so all these nurses came running in while I was absolutely naked. Not good for any age man, but anyway, it helped me get out of the shower, get dressed, get bathed. And I couldn't walk, so they wheeled me to the front of the hospital. I'm sure the doctor thought I was faking it.
Yeah.
X-rays look good, your back's fine, get out.
Yeah. So they wheeled you out because you couldn't walk, but they still kicked you out of the hospital.
Kicked me out of the hospital. My knee was swollen, my foot was sore still, my back was just immense pain, And so anyway, and then they said, "We'll follow up next day. You come into the outpatient there." Anyway, I was sicker by then. So that Tuesday night, the following day, I was rushed to the Alfred Hospital. My parents, well, my stepfather and my mother took me to the Alfred Hospital, the big hospital in Melbourne. And I was there for 5 weeks.
Wow.
5 weeks. Wow. I was diagnosed with the condition, long word, ankylosing spondylitis. What does that mean? Oh, it's an autoimmune disease where the immune system attacks your joints. Great. So it was like terrible prognosis. And if you look up, you Google ankylosing spondylitis and photos, and you'll see a hunched over guy that's all, so it's pretty shitty. And I had this thing real bad for 6 years. Real bad. Like I was on painkillers and anti-inflammatories. And it was worse. But here's the weird thing. The morning was horrendous. The afternoon, I was virtually pain-free.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Exercise made it better. And I didn't think of diet. I didn't think, because for those 6 years, I was a professional muso. So we're all into terrible health, you know, stupid. But I remember carrying the speakers around in and out of it would sort of help my back. It was the weirdest thing. I didn't know it was what was going on. And then I went and saw one of these weirdo, what are they called? Naturopaths.
Yeah, they are weirdos.
And the weirdo naturopath looked in my eye and thought that was very weird and said, "Oh, it's all to do with your diet." And of course, my thought was that's a load of shit. Went back to my doctor. He gave me these herbs. I threw them in the back seat. They were in there a few days later. Went to the doctor and he sort of said, it's nothing. You back something new with your diet. Stupid bloody blah, whatever. And I went home, told my then girlfriend we were living together. And she said, no. I've heard something that we've got to clean up our act and eat well anyway. I said, I do anyway. I have Weet-Bix every morning, a sandwich for lunch, and, it's like I don't eat that much junk food, only once every day. It was terrible. So changed my diet, got rid of gluten and dairy. That was the thing back then. And my back got better.
What a surprise.
And it got better and got better and got better. And then I'd sort of look at my tablets going, have I taken these anti-inflammatories though? Indomethacin? I take 100 milligrams, which is 4 tablets, 3 times a day. I couldn't remember if I'd taken them. And then my scripts would last longer because I was forgetting the painkillers because I wasn't in pain.
Didn't need them.
Normally you're sort of going, is it time
How long
yet?
have I got?
Anyway, my back just cleared up. And it's cleared up and it's fine.
Yeah.
I go running, I go to the gym, no pain now because my diet's good, my gut healed.
Yeah. There you go. And so who would have thought that that's gut related when you're getting arthritis?
No specialist thought it was gut related. No one thought it was just a deficiency of indomethacin. I was pumping that up.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, ruined my guts.
Yeah, I bet. So then you need to do more gut work. So
I had to get a special government script because I was on 12 a day. And the boxes were, in those days, now, there was 50. It lasted me 4 days.
12 a day. My God, your gut would have been screwed.
Oh.
Would have been ripped apart with all of those. Anti-inflammatories.
You have to have them with food and you didn't feel like eating, so you're in pain, so you drink milk with it, which makes, it's just a disaster.
Wow. So that's a very good example of a condition that is gut-derived.
Yeah.
That you may not initially associate with.
Yeah.
So I've got a bit of a list of some of the symptoms of poor gut health outside of digestive symptoms. Skin conditions, which a lot of people now are connecting skin and gut, but skin conditions are really common when there's issues with the gut. So eczema, psoriasis, which could be an autoimmune condition. Hives, again, that can be related back to the gut and some gut bacteria. Acne, things like that. That's all gut derived. A lot of it can be gut derived. Chronic fatigue.
See, that's a big one.
Chronic fatigue syndrome. It's two different
syndrome
things.
means group of symptoms for the people who. So it's just like mine was a syndrome. AS.
Yeah.
But because it's a group of weird symptoms. I had weird shit. I had eye problems. I had wrist problems.
Well, don't tell me you have an eye problem, Steve. I had an eye problem.
I had to have drops in my eyes every hour.
Did you?
Steroids, to blow my pupil out. Anyway.
That's long. So what are some of the other ones? Hormonal imbalances?
Oh, yeah.
Male and female?
Well, we're going to go through these. We're going
to go into them a bit more. But I sort of list some of the things that are a little bit outside of allergies. So whether that be seasonal allergies, things like that, mental health conditions, which we've just actually done a whole podcast on the gut and nutrition for mental health. So we won't go into that one too much, but that is one. Joint pain, as you said.
Really?
Frequent infections. So whether that be colds, flus, wounds that don't heal properly, things like that, all can be gut related.
Isn't it amazing? Because I remember the reason why I link it back to my back is when I had my bowels tested when I worked for Metagenics, because they had free tests, I had all pretty good stuff except for Klebsiella. It's 4+. Klebsiella pneumonia.
Yeah.
And then I sort of thought, what's that? And it said on there non-pathogenic. It's like, that's bullshit. But we know that now. But at the time I went, what's that? So I looked up medical studies. Sure enough, ankylosing spondylitis, Klebsiella, HLA-B27 blood type, which I've got. All three of those together, you're screwed. Or even you've got Klebsiella and HLA-B27, human leukocyte antigen B27, triggers autoimmune diseases, cause AS.
Yeah.
And there's only about 5% of the population with the human leukocyte antigen B27. So Klebsiella can go in some people and cause a gut disturbance and whatever. But if you've got the HLA-B27, it's strongly linked with ankylosing. In fact, 95% of people with ankylosing spondylitis have this HLA-B27.
Yeah. See, I did a stool analysis last year because after COVID and things, and my Klebsiella was very high, but I don't have the genetic, which we did a podcast on that as well.
And you're
genetics.
a girl.
And I'm a girl.
Most girls don't get this. They do, but it's rarer.
It's rarer.
I was in the Ankylosing Spondylitis Society of Australia.
Were
Can
you?
you believe that? There was a group of us.
I can believe it, actually, Steve.
We're all. It was in. We used to go to Caulfield in Melbourne for those people listening in Melbourne, and we go to this thing, and this physio would run it, and that you do exercise because they figured out exercise was good for this type of arthritis, and it was. So we were so inflexible, and I still am.
You are inflexible, yeah.
Shit.
I know. I've seen you try to touch your toes.
Oh, I can't. Can't get close, but I stretch every day.
Yes.
But anyway, you'd be hunched over, because I was hunched over, like a dowitcher's hump there. But and the big joke was you go up to someone and go, "Oh, you lost something on the floor," because you were hunched over like that. I know it's terrible humour, but you get over it. Now I just walk upright and I can run and I can swim, I can gym, I can, I'm much healthier.
Yeah,
because my gut healed.
Because you looked into your gut. So so we can talk about some of the actual. So there were some symptoms of gut issues outside of your normal gut symptoms. We can talk about some of the conditions now. So and a little bit of the mechanisms of action.
Yeah, let's go mechanisms. I love that.
So we may as well start with autoimmune conditions since you brought that up. So autoimmune conditions, there is a very strong connection to the gut. When we see presentations of autoimmunity, one of the reasons can be gut hyperpermeability.
Wow. What's the common name for that?
Leaky gut.
Leaky gut syndrome.
That's the old name.
Well, it's funny you say that. I've got a modern paper here with a leaky gut written on it. There it is.
Oh, do you now? Well, I mean, they do say leaky gut, but we.
Do you know, I love the title of this paper, and this is going to exactly what you're talking about. May 2022, and it's titled, and I'm not joking, Gut Microbiota, Leaky Gut and Autoimmune Diseases.
Oh, look at that. See?
So to break that down for us, summarise this, because it's a big, massive paper.
Yeah, so when we're talking about gut hyperpermeability, what that basically means is our gut is permeable. It has to be to allow nutrients and things to get into the bloodstream where they need to be. But we don't want big proteins or antigens and things like that to get out of the gut and into the bloodstream. So we have, which we did go through in another podcast, but we basically are a tube, essentially. So our gut is from the mouth to the butt is just one big tube. So we want to make sure that everything is contained in the tube pretty much. Yep. And only the things that are supposed to go into the bloodstream can get through. Yeah. So therefore, when we have tight junctions and we have mucus layers and all that sort of thing, keeps everything in. When that can be degraded, then we can get gaps in those tight junctions, opens them up and allows things from the gut to translocate out into the bloodstream, creates an immune reaction. And then, if you're continually having that every time you have put food into your body, then your immune system is hyperstimulated, and then it can become confused. And then if there's a genetic propensity, it can turn into an autoimmune condition. So that's kind of a
exactly. I mean, you've got this big
summary.
tube, as you said, and you've got this gut and everything, but about 70% of your immune system hangs out around the gut. Yeah. Because the gut's full of microbes, viruses, bacteria, everything, and it's supposed to be there. Yeah. So the immune system keeps a check on that. But if the wrong stuff leaks through, then that immune system becomes hyperactive.
That's right.
And that causes the autoimmunity that we see in these sorts of papers. The first one it talks about is systemic lupus erythematosus, which is you've got sort of four major rulers of the immune system, and let's just call them TLP1, TLP2, TLP9 and TLP17. Yep. TLP17 is my enemy, because that hangs out strongly around the gut. So because Klebsiella triggers that one, that can trigger my disease, ankylosing spondylitis. Now, the modern treatment, you're going to love this, interleukin 17 is released from T helper 17, so that's a good one to remember. And now what they're giving people with AS is they're giving them interleukin 17 monoclonal antibodies. So it just knocks that one out.
Okay.
Instead of going back and finding why have they,
Yeah.
So this is the whole. These monoclonal antibodies are disease-modifying drugs, which are a whole class of biologics. There was a pretty famous one called toxizumab. Do you know that one? That one's a interleukin 6 monoclonal antibody, so it's great for inflammatory conditions. Interleukin 6 is highly inflammatory. But isn't it funny that that's now the treatment without saying, well, why have they got high levels of interleukin?
Well, that's right. What is causing that reaction? So, and a lot of times that can start out, like you said, with just a bacterial overgrowth, inflammatory microbes can damage that mucosal lining. Other things as well, so like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, they can degrade that lining. Alcohol, those sorts of things. So if you are prone, if you do have that genetic propensity towards autoimmunity and you're doing things that are damaging your gut, lifestyle factors or dietary factors, then that's how there can be that progression towards autoimmunity.
Remarkable. Now women get more autoimmune diseases than men typically.
Yes.
And with lupus, which is the first one in the paper they talk about, it certainly is a strong female biases. The reason being is because women are better than men when it comes to the immune system. You guys have a much stronger immune system because it's carried on the X chromosome. Yeah. And how many X chromosomes you got? 2. What about me?
Only 1.
1.
Yeah, you miss out, Steve.
I do
you
miss out
on the good stuff.
On the good X chromosome.
You do.
Yeah, but I got a Y chromosome.
I don't know why.
Yeah, well, why? But that's the difference between men and women, if you're wondering. I won't get too political because, anyway. But there is genes, I know. And, But anyway, so you've got 2 X chromosomes, so you've got a stronger immune system. You heard of the man flu?
Oh, have I heard of the man flu? I've experienced it secondhand, yes. Not myself. I've been around the man flu. Yeah.
Well, with man flu, men allegedly get the flu worse than women, and
allegedly.
Without,
there's nothing you can say that's going to convince me on this, Steve. But
all right. We have done a podcast on it. It was Jeff and I, so there was 2 males involved.
Oh, there you go.
And we were saying it's real. And
sorry, no, you've got a downer in the corner now.
I found a paper. Yeah, but really, men have a. We'll put it this way. I'll give you some stats.
Okay.
COVID-19 recent virus, without going into too many details, about twice as many men died of that than women.
Did they? I didn't know that.
Because we're shit when it comes to looking after viruses.
Yeah.
We've got a shit immune system compared to women. Women live a lot longer than men too, 4 years.
There you go. So we got 4 years of peace at the end of this. Is that what you're saying?
I'm getting peeved. But because you've got a stronger immune system, it's great when you get a virus. Bad if you've got an autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
So because some of the genes that encode for the immune system are on the X chromosome. Yeah. So I've got some, but you got loads.
We do have a lot.
You got X's till the cows come home.
Yeah. We're in charge of the continuation of the race.
You're in charge of it, are you?
It's up to us. So we have to be resilient and strong.
You have to be resilient, absolutely. It's funny, the only time your immune system, funny enough, when you fall pregnant, progesterone levels go through the roof and your immune system drops.
That's right. So that's why when a lot of women are pregnant who maybe can't have certain, say, gluten or things like that, they can have it without any issues. Yeah. Because their immune system is
flattened because you're growing.
You don't want to reject your fetus. So
it's exactly right.
So it's very, and that's why a lot of times I see women postpartum thyroiditis, which talk about thyroid as well.
Oh, thyroid,
because they get that bounce back after pregnancy.
It's incredible, isn't it? And here's another disease that's in the leaky gut thing. You're going to love this one. Type 1 diabetes.
Yeah. I know, and everyone thought that had nothing to do with the gut.
Yeah, nothing to do at all. Absolutely, but it certainly was.
Yeah.
It's an autoimmune disease characterised by destruction of the beta cells in the pancreas. We know that.
Yep.
But it's also related to the gut microbiome. And they're even starting testing for the bugs for this.
Yeah.
And it's quite incredible. It's all about regulating your T helper cells. T helper 1 is the one that normally attacks your own tissues. T helper 2 is the one that drives allergies.
Yeah.
And 17 is my one, but interleukin 9 is not a big player in the autoimmune thing. It's T helper 1 and T helper 2 are the main 2 immune systems, and they fight each other. They balance. It's
like a seesaw.
You look on the medical literature. There's always a seesaw, and there's always the interleukins throwing up this one and interleukins throwing up that one.
Yeah.
The 4 and 10 are the 2s, and then 1 and 2 and 6, and that come from the 1s and interleukin 9 as well. So you're going to get this balancing act, and they suppress each other.
That's right.
So you've got to have balance. You don't want too much of one or too much of two.
Well, that's when you see someone who has significant allergies might have, that imbalance is high, and then the other one's suppressed, and then someone has maybe autoimmune may not get the allergies because that's suppressing one and elevating the other. Sorry, I just whacked the Vanessa's mad at me again. Sorry, that's the second time in a row I've done that. I kicked the camera last week.
You kicked the camera? But that was out of a drunken rage,
that was
wasn't
your
it?
camera too, so maybe I was mad at you. So,
Jeez.
yeah, sorry, Vanessa's just checking his hearing now.
Yeah, I know.
So just whacked it.
But you mentioned 2 skin conditions before that are interesting, psoriasis and eczema.
Yeah.
Psoriasis is a TLP1.
Yes.
And eczema is a TLP2.
That's right.
So, but your gut, depending on the bugs in your gut, drives one or the other.
Yeah.
So you're 110% correct. Any sort of immune problem, it blows my mind how wrong I was when I first walked into class when I heard that the gut regulates everything. Because you think of the gut and it's down here, and then you've got a rash on your hand. And it's like, well,
what's the connection? Exactly.
It's funny because when we studied anatomy and physiology in 1995, when I did, we learned about the integrity system of the skin. And then you close that chapter, and then you went on to the thyroid or whatever, the glandular system, and then you went on to the bowel eventually. And you sort of didn't
connect them all.
Well, yeah, not really.
No. Well, I mean, my favourite saying is all disease begins in the gut.
Yep.
I firmly believe that, which is why I love the gut and working with the gut.
Yep.
So autoimmune conditions very, very significant tie to the gut. Another very common condition that I see all the time in clinic.
What is it?
Thyroid conditions.
Oh. Now, the thyroid regulates your metabolism.
Yes.
And it regulates, if you've got low thyroid, you get cold, you get constipated, sensitive to, you get depressed and all this sort of stuff. So these are really common symptoms that everyone gets. And women, of course, get more thyroid conditions than men.
Yep.
Because of, men are just superior.
Is that right? No, I think we've already established that's not the
we're
case.
not. We just established that. We just don't live as long.
That's right.
But women get more thyroid disorders. And, thyroid disorders can be autoimmune.
They can, and that fits into both categories.
Yep.
The autoimmunity and whether you're talking about just clinical hypothyroidism, subclinical hypothyroidism, even hyperthyroidism as well, not as common.
Yep.
But thyroid conditions. I mean, there's sort of the chicken and the egg in some cases. What comes first? But the thyroid is extremely sensitive. So some of the connections in the gut can be if you have very poor gut health. And you're not absorbing your nutrients effectively or breaking down your foods to absorb your nutrients, you're going to be deficient in those thyroid nutrients. So your zinc, seleniums, iron is highly important in thyroid function as well, vitamin D.
Yeah.
So if you're not absorbing any of those nutrients, it will impact your thyroid function. So therefore the gut can be, where that begins. So that's one mechanism. Inflammation, so endotoxins. So we were talking about in another podcast how we can have these inflammatory microbes that put off a toxin called lipopolysaccharide. And then obviously that can breach that barrier function, the gut barrier function, wall, and create systemic inflammation. Systemic inflammation will impact the thyroid as well and throw that out of whack as well. So that's another mechanism there. Helicobacter pylori can be very strongly associated with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is the autoimmune. I didn't know that. Yeah.
So Helicobacter pylori is in about a third of individuals on this planet, maybe up to 50%. It's quite a common one. It's almost considered a commensal.
Yes.
Which means it's supposed to be there. You do breath testing for it. But Helicobacter pylori is heavily associated with ulcers. In the 80s,
that's right,
the Australian researchers were curing ulcers with antibiotics.
Yes, triple antibiotic therapy.
Yeah, there's 2 antibiotics and 1 PPI, which you know what that is.
Yes,
that
on its own it's bad. But yes, it's funny too because when I do stool analysis for clients that have Hashimoto's, 9 times out of 10 I see Helicobacter pylori infection in there. So it's more correlated with the more virulent strains of Helicobacter pylori because there's different strains.
Yeah, there are.
And if it does have a virulence factor, they're the ones that are more dangerous. They're the ones that can lead to stomach cancers and things like that. So they're the ones you don't want in there. Yeah. And they're very strongly correlated with Hashimoto's. So there's your gut-derived connection there to the thyroid as well.
Hashimoto's is an autoimmune TL1 mediated inflammatory response of the thyroid, and you get hypo, which means low, thyroid.
Yes.
Wow. So that's, I mean, that's interesting because, you know, that's why you're the brains of the outfit, because you make these links. And it's funny how in the olden days of treating thyroid, we'd give them iodine, we'd give them tyrosine, because tyrosine makes up thyroid, and that was kind of about it.
Yeah.
And now we know there's way more to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of times in the past, you know, as we go along, we learn more and the research comes out, but that was the treatment. You just give these nutrients and nothing would happen. Yeah. And what's the point of giving nutrients if you can't absorb them?
Exactly.
So, you know, it'll begin in the gut.
And then we learnt that selenium and zinc are required for deiodinase, which is the enzyme that makes T4 into T3 or activates the thyroid.
Yeah, that's right.
But you know, it sort of doesn't end there.
No.
It's like you've got to go back. Otherwise, we're sort of treating people like medicine then. Like medicine for hypothyroidism, they give Eroxon, which is an oral T4.
Yes.
Okay, which is very commonly prescribed in the microgram dose, usually about 50 to 100 micrograms or more. It's got a 6-day half-life, so you can vary it. You know, you can take 50 one day, 100 next, and quite commonly. But that's a very common medication. But why is the thyroid low?
Why? And I see, again, so often that doesn't work anyway, because a lot of people do have a conversion issue. Yeah. So if they're just giving more T4, they can't do anything with that if they're not converting it. So it's kind of useless.
And T4 is relatively inactive in the body.
Yeah.
T3 and T2 are your fun ones.
That's right, yeah.
And you can't give T3 because, well, you can, and people do, but it's got a short half-life, so it's got a weird sort of mechanism of action. So you're right. And
so there's another possible connection as well to thyroid from the gut, which we will talk about with the kidney as well. High oxalates.
Oh, yeah.
So high oxalates in the body can bind to those important thyroid nutrients, and then you again are deficient, so it can cause thyroid issues. Oxalates can also lodge in your organs as well and cause issues. So oxalates are like little spiky sort of balls that float around the body, and we produce them, and we also get them from our diet. And we have a bacteria in our gut that actually can break them down. So if you don't have that bacteria, or it's very low and you aren't able to break down those oxalates, they can build up, bind to these essential nutrients, lodge in your thyroid, and cause issues there as well. So that comes back to the gut.
Amazing, isn't it? Because you know, you can get oxalate stones in the kidneys. And so what's the bug that breaks down oxalates? I'm keen.
So the bug that breaks them down is Oxalobacter formigenes.
I love that one.
Yeah, I know.
Oxalobacter formigenes.
Yeah, formigenes. So you want to have good levels of that, and that will help to break down the oxalates. And if you have low levels, then you are it is a little bit more difficult to break down dietary oxalates.
Yeah, because dietary oxalates, they're found in your diet and healthy diet.
Oh, they're in, some of the most healthy foods have high oxalates. So your berries, spinach is incredibly high in oxalates. And that's why, we might talk about this in another one, but green juices and green smoothies and greens powders, I find, can be really problematic for people, and they're all trying to do the right thing, but they're loading them full of spinach and celery, berries, which are all very high in oxalates. So
and you're blowing people's minds now, because people are having these green shakes in the morning, concentrating these very. My wife is one. Now, and she doesn't have a problem with oxalates, but if she did, she'd be screwed. Yeah. But, you know, having all this spinach and berries, which are extraordinarily healthy foods generally.
Yeah, nuts, sweet potatoes. Yeah. They're all high. So, you know, and obviously you don't go out and just take out all those healthy foods out of your diet. Not a good idea. But I always recommend to clients, particularly if they have thyroid issues, is rotate them. So don't have spinach every day. Have spinach every third day, and have rocket maybe another day. And, you know, blueberries are quite low in oxalates compared to the others. So have blueberries one day and you know, another one. So you're not having a lot of these foods every day. So, but yes, and the greens powders they're quite high in oxalates. Wow. Some of them, you know, they have kale in them and all that sort of thing. So, and they're loading up with greens powders as well. So that can be problematic for some people also. So, so there's quite a few mechanisms as to where the gut can impact the thyroid and throw it out of balance. Yeah.
See, I mean, there is a saying in Hippocrates, one man's food's another man's poison.
Yeah, that's
so there'd be people with those bugs and healthy levels, and they can have this spinach till the cows come home. Some people react to it.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you?
That's exactly right.
This is why you need to see someone like you. Okay, another disease I've got for you from the gut.
Yes, tell me.
I'll give you one.
Please.
Can you read that for
Hang
me?
on, let me put my glasses back on.
Wait a second. I'll put up the big sheet.
Multiple sclerosis,
Yeah,
yes.
Amazing. That's a TLP1 autoimmune disease, and it's also TLP17, but mainly TLP1. And it destroys the myelin sheaths in the brain.
Yeah.
So you get like, if you imagine, your car electrical system, because I've got car problems at the moment, and the wires are protected, they're insulated, okay? MS is when that insulation wears out and they basically short out.
Yeah.
So people get MS quite commonly. It's more common in women again because they've got better immune systems or stronger immune systems. I'd say better if you get MS. But so you get this autoimmune disease attack. And it's amazing because you get the closer you are to the poles, the more MS you get. So
really?
It's absolutely unbelievable.
I did not know that.
So, like, if you're in Tassie...
Yes. Uh-oh. Maybe that's why they're all on antidepressant medication, which we talked about in another podcast, statistics.
Because vitamin D regulates your immune system.
Yes.
And when we talk about solutions, we're giving you problems now. We're going to give you solutions
later, yeah.
But basically, vitamin D is one of the critical factors. Also, sunlight. Right. I mean... Sun is extraordinarily healthy for you beyond vitamin D.
Incredibly healthy for you.
Like, I drove in today and I drove the wife cars, so my car's, as I said, a bit of a problem. And I purposely didn't bring sunglasses in because I wanted to have some sunlight coming in, coming out, because look where we are now.
I know, we're in a room with no windows.
Yeah. You're pretty brown.
I am pretty brown. I started to get a little bit of sun. I get 15 minutes of sun a day now. That's pretty much all I do because I go brown quite quickly. And yes, I think I've talked about in other podcasts. I used to be a bit of a sun worshipper, so I'm a bit more careful. But I make sure that I never use sunscreen. Obviously, I probably shouldn't say that for some people, but I like to get the sun on my skin and I don't overdo it. So 15, 20 minutes a day in the sun. Perfect. And that's all you need.
Very good for you.
Yeah, very good for you.
Big podcast on that if you're going, that doesn't sound right. It is.
It is, yeah.
It's great.
So what else you got for me there, Steve?
Well, the microbiome, Clostridium has been associated with it, so there's all these ones here, but the microbiome is incredibly drives it. And Prevotella is one that can actually be protective against MS. So isn't that amazing?
Really? Yeah. There you go.
So MS is incredibly vital, But it's funny that, again, this is not... I remember a study many years ago, and I can easily find it again, so if someone wants to, they can write it. There was a study where they gave someone a fecal microbe transfer to a woman who had terrible infection. She had MS as well. She was in hospital. They gave her vancomycin, which is a type of antibiotic, poorly absorbed, but it destroys your gut microbiome, but they had to. Yeah. So it destroyed her gut microbiome so bad that she had to have what we term in layman's terms, and this might be a swear word, but we call them crapsules.
Yes.
Where you give them...
A poo capsule.
Yes. I was trying to think of, how can I say that without swearing? And her MS started to resolve, and after 10 years it sort of ameliorated because they changed the microbiome.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't it amazing? Yeah.
Like MS, you got to remember, I remember as a kid, and that was many years ago, doing the MS readathon.
Oh, I did that too.
Did you do that?
Yes.
It's not just Melbourne stupid...
No, I did that. MS readathon. You had to read a certain amount of books and get around, knocked on people's doors and got donations.
Donations for... Yeah. And it was MS read, pretty good idea. But I mean, that's been, like, I'm 54, and I was probably reading that, well, at least 45 years ago.
Yeah.
And to this very day, it's still poorly treated.
It is.
So I don't know how much money's poured into MS.
I don't know where all that book reading we did. I don't know where the money went for that.
I don't know either.
I struggled through all those
questions.
books.
I'm going to go to my primary school teachers in Southmore Primary School in Moorabbin and say, where's all that money gone that I contributed? Probably 20 cents. Yeah. But it's amazing that all this research, and they're looking in the wrong spot.
They are looking in the wrong spot.
I imagine if a lot of that, or a proportion of that, 10% of all that money that, probably trillions by now.
Yeah.
More than billions. Went into microbiome research and MS.
I know. Crazy, isn't it?
So,
yeah.
MS is a bad one.
And did I just hit the microphone again? Sorry.
I tapped my ring.
I'm just whacking it. He's going to be deaf by
People in their cars are going to listen to this and they're going to be going,
what are we talking about?
Boom, boom,
I know. I've got to stop whacking my hand on the table as well because I think that reverberates. But anyway.
I've got my ring. That sort of bangs a bit.
Oh, there you go. Well, hey, all right, I've got another one for you.
Yeah, what do you got for me?
Fibromyalgia.
Oh, my God, that one.
Yeah.
That is
It's a terrible one.
disease. See, I swore in Greek.
You did. It's Greek. Does that matter? No, unless there's Greek people out there, then they'll know what you meant. Sorry, what you said. Yeah. So fibromyalgia is it's a really terrible condition. It's a lot of pain involved, chronic fatigue, a lot of pain. A lot of that can be brought back to the gut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that gut microbiome, there's actually a very strong correlation with fibromyalgia and SIBO.
SIBO, which is
small intestinal bacterial overgrowth.
So you've got a large and small intestine.
Yes.
So the small one comes first, and it goes large.
Yeah.
The large is where most of your microbiome hang out.
Yep.
But you can get overgrowth in the small if you're having a too high carbohydrate diet.
You can.
Yeah. So that's incredible. So SIBO.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, fibromyalgia is a bit of a. It's one of those illnesses where, in the old days and probably even till today, there's a bit of a stigma attached.
There is, because there's no, they can't find it. There's no testing that will show fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
And you can't see it on scans or X-rays and things like that. It's in the muscle and in the connective tissue. So, and the pain can move around. It can come and go. So it's very difficult to pinpoint. So, but it can be very debilitating for a lot of people. Yeah. And I have a few clients that have fibromyalgia. So, gut. I did it again. I'm sorry, Vanessa. I just whacked it again. I'm going to sit back now. Stay away from this.
Is it the wines you had for lunch?
Oh, that must be what it is, yeah. So, and the other thing that there's a fairly strong connection is gallbladder issues.
I saw that on your sheet, and I wanted to ask you about that.
Yes.
What the hell's that all about?
Yeah, so there's a few, they're still trying to figure out the mechanisms, but it's interesting because when I have seen a few clients with fibromyalgia, they all have gallbladder insufficiency or no gallbladder. So they've had gallbladder issues in the past and they've had it taken out.
Okay. So the gallbladder stores bile.
Yes.
It's made by the liver and it squirts out when it's needed in your small intestine to digest primarily fats.
Yes, that's right. So, which most people, that's not an issue.
My mum hasn't got one anymore.
She doesn't have one either?
She lost one about 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
There's my mum is not overweight, but again, it's a womanly disease that affects women more. And the acronym, and I may offend someone, so this may be edited out, but it's the Fair Fat 40 Female.
Yeah.
Is the acronym you remember for the high risk factors?
Yes.
Is that offensive?
Well, I'm not fair or 40 or fat, so not offending me.
No, you're only 20.
No, I'm 25, Steve.
Oh,
jeez. Wow.
Forgetting what age you are.
25. I've been 25. I'm coming up to my second 25th.
Jeez.
So, yeah, 25 twice now.
That's fun.
But yes. So, yes, very common in women.
Yep.
But there is a little bit of, tried to pinpoint what actually is involved with that, with the gallbladder. So, they're seeing that there is a secondary bile acid deficiency in fibromyalgia patients. Yeah. So obviously when you bile is involved in digestion, so it goes out to the bloodstream, then it's resorbed into the distal ileum, and then it's reuptaken into the liver through the portal blood. So then 95% of that bile is recirculated back in. So they found a secondary bile acid called, I hope I don't mess this up, alpha uncholic acid that was 5 times lower in fibro patients than people who didn't have fibromyalgia.
If someone asked me, is there any biomarkers for fibromyalgia, I would have said maybe slight inflammation, but I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, so that's really interesting because, like I said, I in clinic have seen quite a lot of gallbladder connection with fibromyalgia. So insufficiency whether they might have sludgy bile, either they may obviously no gallbladder whatsoever. So they have high steatocrit in their stool analysis, very common with fibromyalgia. So, and there's reasons why your gallbladder can have sludgy bile, or you might get gallstones and things like that. So a lot of that can be inflammatory related, poor digestive function, enzymatic function, things like that. So again, come back to the gut from fibromyalgia. Not saying that's entirely the reason why, but it's a very strong correlation with the gut. So always look at the gut with fibromyalgia. And
does this semi-relate to chronic fatigue? So I see that on the list.
Yes. So chronic fatigue is also on the list.
Wow.
Chronic fatigue syndrome and chronic fatigue. So, chronic fatigue, well, what are some of the symptoms of chronic fatigue? Fatigue, brain fog, those types of things. So, and what can happen when you have gut issues, fatigue, brain fog, things like that. So that's very strong gut-derived condition there. So,
one thing I learned sort of probably too recently, and I didn't understand it until fairly recently, well, a few years ago, was hormonal imbalances, the microbiome.
Yeah.
You know, you've got the estrobolome and the testosterone, which are microbes that can reabsorb estrogen.
Yes.
So if you've got the wrong sorts of bugs, you reabsorb the estrogen, you detoxify. So you're basically like on the pill.
Yeah.
You're just reabsorbing your estrogen you're getting rid of.
Yeah.
So your liver's going, nah, you got too much estrogen here, Nick. I'm going to detoxify some in the bowel. And then you've got these E. coli's, which are nasty ones, which can draw it back into the body.
Yeah.
Until you become estrogen dominant.
Yeah, that's
and that can
right.
cause all sorts of problems.
Yeah, high beta-glucuronidase levels.
That's
as well.
right.
Yeah.
Beta-glucuronidase is an enzyme that reabsorbs it.
Yeah.
And that's secreted from usually E. coli.
Even constipation. So if you're not eliminating, that can go back into recirculations as well. So really common that gut connection to high estrogens and you know, testosterone issues, low testosterone even in men with gut issues as well. So so yeah, that's a really common one also.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I want to sort of, we just skipped over it, I just realised. Weight gain and obesity now in the olden days it was calories in, calories out. What happens if your microbiome's all screwed up? What happens then?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I hear that so much on social media, and there's a lot of really reputable people people out there saying that, and it is, but there's a lot of contributing factors that will take that turn that, you know, on its head basically.
Yeah.
So if your microbiome isn't right, then you can be eating very few calories and extracting a lot of calories from what you're eating because maybe you have that imbalance in your fibre. So that's a big one. I wrote down some other things about that. Very interesting.
Wow.
Metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, obesity, that whole metabolic sort of picture issues. Very low levels of bifidobacteria, Bacillobacterium pranicii, and Akkermansia municipilia. Very good short-chain fatty acid producing a butyrate producing bacteria, So, and that's really important for metabolic function. Akkermansia particularly, they've shown a really strong correlation with metabolic health. And if you have low or no Akkermansia, you can be more predisposed to metabolic syndromes. So, and that's, you're not feeding the microbiome or there's an imbalance whether they're dying off. So that's really interesting. Bifidobacterium species are very anti-inflammatory, so they help to blunt some inflammation within the gut as well. Obviously, inflammation creates issues in itself. And Bifidobacterium species show a positive effect on glucose tolerance as well. So if you're missing those healthy bacteria, then you're more inclined to have that more of that metabolic syndrome picture.
It's remarkable because when they say calories in, it becomes more accurate when you say into the body, because when you put it into your tube, it's not in your body.
No.
It's when it gets absorbed over. So if you've got like a lot of Methanobrovibacter, which is a firmicute bacteria, that draws way more calories out of food. So if you were starving in the bush, you'd want more of that because you eat your small amount of banana for the day and you draw all the calories you want out. In the Western world, we kind of want the opposite. But you can see the adaptation there.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, so sometimes you want to draw all your calories out of it if you're on Naked and Afraid, that TV show I love. That's a weird one. Not because have you seen it?
I saw 10 minutes of it and I didn't know what I was watching. You know, I was like, there's two naked people sitting in the rain and one was crying and I'm like, what is happening right now?
Okay, what's happening is they got to survive for 21 days in the bush naked and they've only got three tools, a knife, a pot and a flint. And you've just got to make your own shelter and you've got to survive in the bush. Just these nutcase survivalists.
I just want to know who thinks of these things.
There was a guy that I love following and he walked the Amazon length and that sort of thing. And
what, naked?
No. But he did a challenge where he marooned himself on an island for 60 days.
Oh, my God.
English guy.
Okay.
And he says, okay, I'm doing this all on my own, filming myself. I don't want a knife, nothing. He just jumped himself off the island naked and he survived for 60 days.
Right. And did he get a prize at the end of it, or he just did it for his own?
Just crazy guy. But I love the guy. It's just funny how people use. But the Naked and Afraid thing. See, with those people, you want more of you want less of the bacteria that makes you thin. You want more of the bacteria. But okay, go back 3.5 million years. You know, I was only a kid then.
Yeah. Verging on teenage years.
Yeah, when we were still Australopithecus.
You're riding your dinosaur around. Yeah.
I was. Yeah.
I used to know my dinosaurs so well. What's the one with the I can't remember. Triceratops.
That
one had the three horns.
Yeah, 3 horns. Three.
The one that looked, the one that was like Dino from the Flintstones.
That's a Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus. You're riding your Stegosaurus around.
Yeah,
Steve.
I was Flintstones. I love it.
I know.
So let's say you were cruising around there. That was 65 million years ago.
That's right.
They died out with some asteroid in the Jurassic period. But 3.5 million years ago, we were sort of. We weren't bipedal. We were sort of bipedal apes then. We were Australopiths. And, we were just foraging. We weren't the apex predator. We were hunted and all that sort of thing. And we wanted, we have this adaptation to draw lots of calories out of food because we had the glut of food that we have today. So it was our advantage and we became a much better species for that, or dominant species, not better. But dominant species because of our microbiome.
Yeah.
It's incredible how it's changed. And that's why it's not all bad.
No. And you want to have, talking about Firmicutes and Bacteroidetes, you want to have good ratios of these phyla. So they're the two main phyla in a microbiome. 95% make up 95% of our microbiome, and we have our groups within those. So obviously high Firmicutes, as you said, even high Bacteroides, very high, can cause issues. High saturated fats and things can push those up.
Sure.
So you want to have a good ratio. That's with everything, not too much of one or the other. So the dietary changes can definitely manipulate that to a degree as well. So really interesting with the obesity and metabolic syndrome.
Yeah, it's incredible because. If you can control, like let's say you're trying to lose weight and you're one of these people that look at a cake and get fat.
Yeah.
It could be your microbiome.
Yes. It is I'll tell you, probably is your microbiome to the most part, yeah.
Absolutely. So the way you get your microbiome healthy is to eat healthy with lots of polyphenols.
Yes.
So it's a catch-22. And the problem is that the microbiome changes your brain dramatically, as we've talked about in the last podcast. So if your microbiome's out, you're going to be craving the bad food. And I didn't quite understand it in the early days.
Yes.
It's like, no, you're overweight, stop eating cake. Okay, see ya, bye, next. Come back, did you eat cake? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you pay me to tell you to not eat cake when you go and eat cake? And they just crave it. I feel like something sweet. I just need to create my sweet tooth and all this sort of stuff. So you haven't got a sweet tooth. Your tooth's made of enamel and calcium. So, but anyway, a bit harsh. No, I didn't say that to them. But you've got to remember that there are people that really struggle with this because their brain or their microbiome is screaming to their brain to have sugar.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I saw a little bit of a what do you call it? I don't know, a funny the other day. Not a funny, but it was a very interesting bit of research. That the microbes, not microbes in our gut specifically, but microbes have been around for 7 billion years or something like that. How many years have humans been around for?
Humans have been around about, when I say humans, the hominoid.
Yes.
But the Earth's been around 4.5 billion years, so microbes are after that. But microbes, the prokaryotes were about 3.8 billion years ago.
Yeah, so a lot longer than humans. So, so they're extremely smart.
Way longer,
like
about 1,000 times longer.
Yeah. So, the microbes within our gut, we think that perhaps we're running the show. We're really not running the show at all, at all. So, with that cravings and things, that's your microbiome. We were talking about in our other podcast on mental health, that's your microbiome as well to a large part, the bacteria. So, they're very clever. So, they're going to basically do things that are going to help them survive, what that does to you. So that's why we have got to try to manipulate them to a degree. So I just thought that this is a good thing to make you think about when you put something in your mouth, what are you actually feeding?
Yeah.
So what bug are you feeding when you're eating that high, highly refined carbohydrate or that high saturated fat food? What bug are you feeding?
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are going to take over.
Amazing. And the microbiomes, remember the early microbiomes, developed a process called photosynthesis. And they gave off a weird gas that was new to our atmosphere. It's called oxygen.
Yes.
Okay, so they would turn the CO2, which is way richer than it is, like way more concentration than it is now in the Earth's atmosphere, and they turned it into oxygen, and that allowed for us to get out of the ocean and onto the land. And then there were some animals that went back in the ocean, like whales. Mammals in the ocean. They're if you look at a whale skeleton, you'll see it's got hind legs still, just little ones. So, if you're interested in that sort of shit. But microbes are the driver of the Earth. They really are.
They are
incredibly important species, and science, lords all over them because they're so good.
They are.
And we have 10 times more cells of microbes in our body than cells in our body. So we're mostly microbe.
We are. Yeah.
About 97% of the genes in our body are microbes. So, foot out. So microbes really run the show.
Well, we want to work with them, not against them.
And that's really important. I mean, you've got here things like infections. And the reason why infections are associated with microbiome is because it controls our immune system,
That's
the microbiomes.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
We kid ourselves and take herbs and zinc and that sort of thing, which regulates it a bit.
Yeah.
But the microbes are vastly more powerful.
Yeah, they are. Completely. Yeah.
I love it.
So here's another big one for you.
Go
Steve.
for
this
it.
is one of the big killers, of the biggest killers is cardiovascular disease.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So there's a gut connection there, which lots a little bit. I'm still trying to get my head around this one. Steve, you might have a bit more information on this, but TMAO, we all know about TMAO.
Trimethylamine oxide.
Yeah, and red meat, and that's why everyone says red meat's a killer. It gives you heart disease and all that sort of thing. So, but why does not everybody get heart disease, and why does not everybody get high TMAO levels from eating red meat? So that comes back to your microbiome.
Because you've got to remember, it's made from choline. Now, and also even L-carnitine, which is our darling if you want to lose a few pounds, can be turned to TMAO if you've got the wrong microbiome. And so can choline. Now, choline's in red meat, but it's in loads of foods, and you need it for your brain.
Yeah.
Because you've heard of acetylcholine. It's the number one neurotransmitter in our brain. It's made from, surprise, surprise, choline.
Yeah.
So it comes down to a microbiome.
That's right.
And here's the weird thing. When my long-suffering wife, Beck, was a cardiovascular nurse, every patient in the cardiovascular ward used to have a dental hygiene checkup because the microbiome in their mouth can drive heart disease.
Can cause, so the plaque on your teeth is the same as the plaque in your arteries, exactly the same.
Oral
plaque.
microbiome,
So they did identify 8 distinct bacterial strains that were involved in TMA formation.
Wow. Yeah.
So some of the Clostridium strains, Edwardiella, some of these I don't know, some of the Escherichia strains.
That's like E. coli.
Proteus pineae, Providentia, Retgeri. I don't know who comes up with these.
Yeah.
So TMO can travel systemically through your body.
Yep.
It can go up and cause strokes, myocardial infarctions, so heart attacks, abdominal aortic aneurysm, so swelling of the aorta.
That's a bad one.
Yeah, so that sort of travels around the body. So, and that comes back to the type of microbiome you have as to whether you're going to. We all produce a little bit of the TMAO, but whether the levels go too high or not.
It's a very fishy smell.
It is.
And fish have TMAO, but they don't drive heart disease because their levels in them aren't to that level. And also, if you've got microbiome that's making TMAO, you eat fish 2 or 3 times a week. If your microbiome in your body, you're making it 24/7.
Yes.
So it's a completely different kettle of fish. And the TMAO does damage the endothelium.
Yes.
Which causes problems with the arteries around that feed your heart blood, and you end up with a condition called atherosclerosis, narrowing. And my family, for example, all of my grandparents have had heart disease. My mother and father have had heart disease. And my mother had a mild heart attack about 5 or 6 years ago.
An episode, didn't you say? She calls it an episode.
She does, that's what I told her. She says, she goes in a bit. But she was an ex-smoker. But she had spent the week in hospital. It wasn't like her. But, it was quite scary because everyone in my family's had heart disease. So I thought, okay. So I got a referral to a cardiologist, completely cardiovascular free. Like my arteries are clean. It was rated 0 in the calcium score. So there's no build-up. Now, why? Because I'm a different individual with a different microbiome. I eat differently. I live differently. Exercise, all that's good stuff for your heart. Yeah. So it's not heart disease that runs in the family. It's just that nobody runs in the family.
That's right, that old saying.
It's that old saying of like you can, and it goes with obesity too. It goes with diseases,
Yeah, that's right.
So you can really change your health by just changing the microbiome, changing your lifestyle, polyphenols, rich diet.
Yep.
You mentioned the Mediterranean diet last week. That's a really healthy diet.
Really healthy diet, good source of fibre, your omega-3 fatty acids, which are very important as well. Really, one of the best diets, I think, has stood the test of time. All these other diets have come and gone, but the Mediterranean diet has stood the test of time. So that's a really good one. So, kidney. So your microbiome can impact your kidneys as well. So we talked about oxalates before, so kidney stones.
Yeah.
So people who can't break down oxalates, they can get kidney stones. Kidney disease. So again, high TMAO levels have been observed in chronic kidney disease as well.
Because you damage the blood vessels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's coming back to the microbiome as well.
Look, it's quite scary.
Yeah.
I've got another scary thing for you. Speaking of scary, most people are scared of getting cancer.
Yes.
Men get way more cancer than women because of their immune systems, right? The immune systems, you have lots of these cells in your body called natural killer cells. When cancer cells are formed and they get through the replication process, natural killer cells come and eat them and destroy them, okay? So if immune system's down, you've got a much higher risk of developing cancer.
Yeah.
A microbiome regulates your systemic immune system. There's a beautiful paper on this that talks about it. It's called, you're going to love it, this is the title, Gut Microbiome and Systemic Immunity in Health and Disease. And it talks about if your gut is out, you're going to get immune diseases, including cancer.
Yeah.
So, if you're not worried about, getting all sorts of little, then you're worried about cancer.
Yeah.
Because you definitely are.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's absolutely incredible. And it's talk about other effects on liver immunity, lung immunity. It goes into all the effects and the systemic effects in your brain, but also to do with things like getting cancer and that sort of stuff. So very scary stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's a thing in your gut called your secretory IgA. So that's involved in your immune function. So as you said, was it in this one, 70% of your immune system is located in your gut. So secretory IgA sits in your mucus layer. So you have your mucus layer within your gut, and that basically is a barrier. So if your mucus layer has been degraded, so if you're not feeding your microbes that produce the mucus, and you're not feeding the ones that actually use mucus as their food, so there's mucin degrading bacteria that help to turn it over and keep it nice and healthy. That thins that. If you have a thinning of that mucus layer, you lose that secretory IgA.
Wow.
You lose that ability to tag antigens and pathogens and things that come in before they get the chance to cross over if you have intestinal permeability.
Amazing.
So you want to make sure that you're feeding those microbes that keep that mucin layer turning over and keep it nice and healthy as well. So, little things like that. Fibre, again.
Little things.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned fibre. Let's start talking about what we eat to get a healthy gut.
Yeah, what can we do?
Yeah, what
Sorry, I just hit the microphone again. Paul Vanessa's sitting over there. I'm sorry, it's my glasses.
You picked up your glasses. I'll leave mine on because
I know, but if I leave them on and look up and down, I'll pass out. I'll get all dizzy or something.
Well, because I look so hot.
No, that's what it is, yeah. No, I can't look up and down. These aren't made for looking. These are up. They're made for reading.
You just look blurry to me, but the papers look clear, so I can read that.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's.
Okay, so put your naturopathic hat on.
Put my naturopathic on. What
sort of foods?
Do?
Yeah, what sort of foods are we going to? Let's get into the minutiae of a healthy microbiome to get rid of all these systemic diseases and really treat the gut. What sort of foods are we looking at?
Well, what I would do first is I always look at the gut. 99% of the time, I look at the gut.
Yep.
But I would reduce any inflammatory microbes.
Yep.
First of all. Because if you, that is something we need to point out too. Sometimes if someone goes, I want to get really healthy, I'm going to start eating lots of fermented foods. And if they have high levels of histamine producing bacteria in the gut, they're going to exacerbate their symptoms.
Wow.
So, or if they go out and get a probiotic and it's not the right strain for them, they could exacerbate their symptoms as well. So you want to reduce any overgrowth of those inflammatory microbes first. So there's some really good diet is one way to do that. Obviously, if you've got high, reducing your refined carbohydrates, if you've got high Klebsiellas and things like that, that can be really important. Obviously, high saturated fats and things like that you want to reduce. But there's a couple of really good herb food / things that I use to help reduce inflammatory microbes. So one of them is pomegranate.
Pomegranate is
one of my
brilliant.
favourite foods of all time. Pomegranate, yeah. So we use a lot in natural medicine.
I won't mention the product, but I'm drinking some now.
Oh, I know what you're drinking.
Don't say the name of it.
Don't say the name. And there's something else that has pomegranate in too that we know about. So pomegranate polyphenols, bit of a connection there. But it's what's called a selective antimicrobial as well. So which means that you put it in your microbiome. So there's selective and non-selective antimicrobials. Non-selective basically will just wipe everything. It'll just pretty much like an antibiotic. Yeah. So oregano oil is one of those. People who go down the street and just buy oregano oil and say, I'm just going to fix my gut. Sometimes
I developed a product with that many years ago for weeding the gut.
Oh, well, it used to be the treatment.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. So
it could still be, but
it can be, but you got to use it short term, and because it is non-selective. But pomegranate's great. It's selective, so it's only going to reduce those inflammatory microbes.
Yep.
And it's antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, cardioprotective.
Yeah.
Has an antimicrobial. It has so many amazing actions. So pomegranate garlic is another one.
Garlic's
a really
good.
It's a selective antimicrobial as well. And it's antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal.
Anti-cancer.
Again, anti-cancer, cardioprotective, all that sort of thing.
Keeps vampires away.
It does keep vampires away. It's why I keep
ever since I've been here, I haven't seen a vampire.
Oh, well, it must work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't suck.
Wow, I really walked into that one, didn't I? Totally walked into that one. And then diet, so an anti-inflammatory diet. So, a lot of times...
Which is sort of like, what sort of things we're looking at?
Well, we're looking at a Mediterranean-style diet. So we're looking at fibre. So legumes, if you can tolerate them, prebiotics, omega-3 fatty acids is really important as well. Like you want to get your proteins in there, but you're not saturated fats overly, a lot of overly saturated fats. Cold water fish, I love salmon. I recommend salmon to a lot of people. If they can't have it, I do put a lot of times I will put omega supplements in because they're just so important. So, but all your fibrous foods, your soluble, your insoluble, your resistant starches, your polyphenols, really important to feed those healthy
colourful foods.
Colourful foods. Eat the rainbow, as they say.
We did a podcast on that, actually. It was great.
Yeah.
And it's like a concept that you just think, make sure it's colourful.
Yeah.
And most crap food is kind of non-colourful.
No, it's bland. What is it? Beige. It's kind of brown and beige.
And you can tailor that to your own specific needs. And if I speak to someone like you, because you're in practice.
I am in practice.
How do they find you in clinic, by the way?
I have Nicole Brown Naturopathy, my website, which I'm working on at the moment, so it's a bit funny. But yes, Nicole Brown Naturopathy, you can find me.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So
because this is a minefield. Like people are probably we've talked about diseases, we've talked about bugs and diets, and it is difficult because one man's food's another man's poison.
It is, definitely. Yeah. So that's your food base. Support your digestive function is a really big one. So many people I see have suboptimal digestive function. So low stomach acid and enzyme production. If you're not producing enzymes through your pancreas, you're not breaking down your macros very well. Gallbladder, as we talked about before, your gallbladder needs to be optimal as well. So you want to make sure that you've got good digestive function as well, so that when you put those good foods in, you can break them down.
Yes.
Support your mucosal barrier, really important as well. So people that may have that gut hyperpermeability or leaky gut, you really want to support that. So there's a lot of really good things that I use, and glutamine is a really good one.
That is a good one.
It feeds the colonocytes actually as well, really good for that.
Cells in the colon.
Cells in the colon. So if you're missing some of those bacteria that help with those colonocytes, you can put some glutamine in. That can be really helpful.
Jeez,
so that's awesome. A good one. Zinc carnosine is a really, really good gut healing.
I give that to my wife actually.
Very good.
Really good one.
Yeah. And then you get slippery elm. I love slippery elm because it's mucoprotective, so it actually coats that mucus lining. It also helps increase your bifidobacteria species.
That's the goodie.
And it's prebiotic.
Yeah, and the bifidobacteria species, lactobacillus is a kind of double-edged swordy thing. The bifidobacteria, the studies on that are really good.
Yeah, you don't want to have really high levels of lactobacillus, a lot of them. One of them that I do like, and we'll talk about some probiotics, is lactobacillus rhamnosus GG. I find I get really good results with that.
Yeah.
But marshmallow, aloe vera, curcumin, really good for that. The gut, that gut healing. Deglycerated licorice as well.
Yeah.
So it's got that glycerin taken out of it. So
blood pressure.
Yeah, blood pressure. People with blood pressure issues. And then you increase the diversity in your diet. So that's where you add your fibres, prebiotics, polyphenols. Support your key butyrate producing bacteria, so Akkermansias, Faecalibacterium prunitzii. So omegas can be really good for your Akkermansia. And then obviously your fibres, all your different types of
fibres. And get into your nuts and seeds and these sort of foods that Australians are crap at eating.
Yeah.
We are crap. We're crap eaters.
We are crap eaters, and crap eaters we eat crap as well.
You just see the fast food chains. I won't mention names. We all know what they are. They're everywhere. I mean, you go to the supermarket. Who buys all those Snickers bars? I used to.
Yeah, I mean, the fresh food is one quarter of not even 1/10 of the supermarket these days, isn't it?
I used to go and get Snickers for 20 cents a bar in my day, and we used to get $1 worth.
Oh my God!
I used to eat so many of those.
I still have Mars bars. I haven't had a Mars bar in 30 years.
Bars,
but
weirdly, were a bit sickly for me.
Oh, were they? Oh, I did love the Snickers as well, but I love the Mars one. Eat the layers, but yeah, that's been a long time since
Twisties was another weakness of mine. You know what I used to have for breakfast on the way to the lab?
I know. I remember you saying something like a packet of Twisties.
A large bag of Twisties. That was breakfast.
Oh my God!
Isn't that the yellow and then have a donut for morning tea with a soft drink? It was disgusting.
Wow.
That was my life in my 18, 19. You know, when you're 18,
well,
19.
you don't, and you're more resilient then as well.
Yeah.
You know. So, but
I was
but all
more
those things.
Stupid then too.
Yeah, and they set your microbiome up for these issues down the track.
And then shock horror, when I was 20, I got really sick.
There you go.
What a surprise that would have been.
Yeah.
Now it's like you feel like going, what were you thinking? But at the time, you didn't. You know, you didn't put weight on. I was just like, I was really lean, and because I'd exercise a bit, but it's just
You don't think about it back then. So you want to make sure you're getting that fibre in there. As I said, the rainbow, the colourful foods. Get your purple foods in there, and you can get purple potatoes and your berries and your sweet potato and all those really black and things like that, plums and things. They're really good as well. And then some probiotic therapy if needed. But you want, as I said, you want to be careful with probiotics. I use strain specific probiotics now for different things. I use Saccharomyces boulardii quite a lot. I love that. Really good for increasing secretory IgA levels.
Right.
So that's going to help with that immune function. Bifidobacteria species, as I said, anti-inflammatory. I do use a little bit of soil-based probiotics now as well. So Bacillus coagulans and subtilis. They're fairly new on the Australian market.
I didn't know you could get them here in Australia. There you go, good.
Yeah, so they're great, and they're really good for people who are a little bit sensitive as well to other probiotics. They don't seem to react to those. And they're the strains that we've lost because we don't get out in the soil and we don't, get our hands in the soil and pull the food out ourselves anymore. Everything's washed
on that. Hygiene hypothesis.
Yeah. So there's some things you can look at working on to get your gut healthy, and particularly if you are suffering any of these conditions or even symptoms that we said at the beginning. So the symptoms, obviously are telling you that you are on your way to disease, you're progressing to a disease state. So you want to jump on things pretty quickly.
Jeez. Wow. I'm glad you've given your website, because that's so... This is like a complex area. It really is. But if you just start with cutting the crap, not cutting... Do
you know what I say to people? I say to people, just start adding one extra vegetable a day.
Yeah.
I don't tell them to take, a lot of people, I don't tell them to take anything out, and I get them to put things in.
Yeah.
And so make sure you have these. If you have these foods, don't change anything else, but make sure you have these foods, and you get to the point of like, well, they can't fit them all in. So then they start dropping off the crappy stuff. So, but, or my other thing is just don't eat out of a packet. Just try and eat things that aren't in a packet, for the most part, fresh vegetables and fruits. And
if you've got a label on it, it's probably not fresh.
That's right, yeah.
Wow, good advice.
So,
well, look, we've run out of time.
We have run out of time, but we've got through a bit of stuff today to help people.
Stuff blew me away. That was good. Well, thanks, Nick. That was great.
That was good. Thanks, Steve-O. Thanks, everybody.
Love talking about bowels.
Yeah.
And we'll be back with something special next week. I don't know what it's yet, but it'll be fun.
It will be fun.
See you next week, everyone.
Yeah, see ya. Bye.